Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 21st day of October, 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy today. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those at work in health, along with the first responders who every day are often risking their lives to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those also that are helping the people that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, all the profiteers, and all the perverts that create the demands of which these evil industries provide the supply. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. There are more than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the streets of the United States. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, a couple things. Number one, Tyler Kolek. So yesterday, some people were surprised when I endorsed Tyler Kolek yesterday. Thing is that I'm an analyst. I analyze and then provide information with respect to the Knicks upon my analyses. My analysis, as I explained yesterday, initial analysis of Tyler Kolek was that he was really just another white hope that really wasn't going to make it because he couldn't play no defense in spite of his offense. And I felt like there was a lot of overhype, as there is with every player. Twitter formerly Twitter, seems that, there's some pimply faced ones on Twitter and they go crazy any move the Knicks make as if every move is the next superstar. They had Kolek replacing Deuce. They had Isaiah Roby becoming a rotation piece. It just keeps going on and on. Then Brogdon came and there was all these pictures of Brogdon now. The game has changed and this is a game changer. And people overreact. And I tend to push back on overreaction. And so, there's a lot in Knicks Nation. So with respect to Kolek, I knew he had court vision. That's why they drafted him. He had court vision so he could pass the ball. He has a gift at doing that. He wasn't shooting at NBA level yet, but I wasn't as concerned about that because I felt like every rookie has trouble at the NBA level shooting until they get used to the speed. But it was the lack of defense that caused me to really say, no, this guy ain't going to make it. I mean, he can't play defense. So over the course of time, though, I've seen him get a little buck on him, work really hard, and coaches and teammates all praise his work ethic. He did not have a good summer league. I felt like he was pressing. Everybody was. There was a lot of pressure in the summer league this year. And so he didn't have a good summer league. But he stayed in New York all summer, working on his game, working on his defense, hopefully. But then this past week, his work paid off against both Washington and Charlotte, and he showed his worth. And apparently, the Knicks, for their credit, they don't listen to the crowd at all. None of us. They got their own plan, and apparently they had signed him. He's got this year and next year guaranteed. They're going to let this play out and see, if he develops. At this point, to me, he's surprisingly the third string point guard. And I got to give it to him. He really has survived. I always admire a survivor, and he's a survivor. So that's why I changed. And so I don't know why people think, I know I'm right a lot of the time. Since I started this Knicks channel, people know when I call something, it usually happens. And I'm not like somebody that puts out just rumors. I'm calling it based on logic. So when I'm wrong, some people go crazy. You are, and I could tell, like I said, there's a lot of pimply faced ones out here that trip out on stuff like that. So anyway, and as if I'm not allowed to change my mind on a player. Somebody act like, well, now you with Kolek, before you wasn't? Well, give me a break. I gave him a break from our channel. He got a nice three week break, and he's going to continue to get breaks. But anyway, That was on Kolek. So I'm permitted to now analyze a player's development and change my mind on a player if I find that he can help us win. And that's the bottom line. My only concern is who can help the Knicks win. Not what it looks like, not how the lineups look in terms of beauty or whatever. Can we win? And to win, you got to get stops, okay, in the league. Some people still think it's just an offensive driven. No, offense is nice, and you do need to put the ball in the basket. But unless you get stops in the NBA, you're not winning no championship. Ask Mike D'Antoni. Okay, you need to get stops. So who can help us win? And at this point, as the third string point guard on the New York Knicks, I'm starting to feel a little confident in Kolek. Like I said, I want to see how he performs against the top tier teams that have top tier defensive talent coming off their bench, like Indiana or Cleveland or Boston. I want to see how or Detroit. I want to see how he performs against those roughnecks coming at him in those situations. Because he's not going to play against first units. He's going to be playing against second and third units. And these teams have really tough second units. So we're going to see how much he's developed. It's going to be interesting to watch, but I'm pulling for him, to be able to make it. But today, what I was looking at, two things. Number one, I'm looking at Spot Rack, which I depend on them for a lot of information I get with respect to salaries. And something is wrong today. They have the Knicks $875,000 over the second apron. And I know Brock Aller and them ain't making no mistake on keeping them under the second apron. I mean, the whole thing about waiving Matthews was to stay under the second apron. So somebody's wrong. I don't think Brock Aller's wrong. I think Spot Rack is wrong. They got the Knicks. And because they got them $875,000 over the second apron, the tax bill balloons to $50 million. And I don't think that's happening. I'm telling you. So somebody on Spot Rack going to have to make an adjustment. Plus, they had the Knicks at $3.717 million under the second apron. If you simply add the contracts of Muhammad Diawara, 1.72, and Landry Shamet, which counts as 2.296, although he's getting paid more, but that's what it counts against the cap, then that leaves him about $150,000 under the cap. Now that sounds under the second apron. Now that sounds more like Brock Aller and the Dom. Okay, they wouldn't miss them pennies. So I think that somebody's a little off, okay, on this thing. I think there's going to have to be an adjustment because I know the Knicks ain't over the second apron and they're not going to be paying $50 million in no tax bill. So that's I'm looking for a correction from Spot Rack, I guess is what I'm saying. If these numbers are correct, then the possibility of a trade is not off the table. Because, again, if these numbers are true, and they traded Daddy, that 2.8 comes off the books, and now they're $2 million under the second apron. That would make sense, and that's why I was saying that Daddy might be traded because of that number. So somebody's off here, and I feel like there's going to be an adjustment made between today, which is Tuesday, and the end of the week. We'll see how that works out. But I don't think these numbers are right. The Knicks are not over the second apron, and they're definitely not paying no $50 million tax bill this year. So let's see what happens. But yeah, so if you see that on Spot Rack, I would ignore it. It's a little frustrating to see because Spot Rack is usually on point. But I don't think these numbers are right. So we'll see how this works out. Also, today, what we are seeing, I thought the Knicks would want to monitor closely Mitchell Robinson's minutes. And Brown just came out and said it. We're going to be managing his minutes. So now he's Minutes-Managed-Mitch, right? He said for the whole season. So that's good. And why? Because just like we know, they know how important he's going to be playoff time, and they want to make sure he's healthy during the course of a season. And like I said, that seems to be the trend in the NBA. It's not just the Knicks. Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, all of these teams are now understanding the injury risk to, I want to say, slimmer big men. guys that are skinny, like all of these guys. So you want to minimize the injury risk and make sure they're healthy come playoff time, but you want to make sure they're part of your rotation at the same time. So that means you just limit their minutes. So for Mitchell Robinson, like the last game, what bothered me is he didn't even play 13 minutes. And I think he might have hurt something, but the Knicks ain't saying. And the Knicks are good for doing that now. This is way before the dawn. They've been doing that since the 80s, hiding injuries, without saying nothing. You're supposed to report all injuries, but they're going to wait until game time to say something. Because the thing that bothered me is Brown wasn't given much assurance that MitchRob will be ready for opening night. I mean, the whole point of resting him for the rest of the preseason was to make sure, my thought, for opening night. So I'm a little concerned. I hope he's not hurt. That's my thing. I don't want to see him hurt, because if he's hurt, that changes a lot. Not that the Knicks can't still win it without MitchRob, but it becomes harder. But they are deep at the 5. And if you can play Mitch, Porty, and Jamison at the 5 and not have to play Cat there except for limited minutes, because, like I said, Cat is so unstoppable at the 5 against anybody guarding him at the 5. They put forwards on him, power forwards on him, centers on him. Nobody can guard him at the 5. If you put a smaller player on him, he's too big. He's strong, and he'll use it to score. If you put a center on him, he's going to take you to the 3-point line and then go by you or shoot over you. So you're going to pay him up to 5. But I can't see them playing him more than, let's say, 10 minutes of a game at the 5 spot. Okay? So you're going to get some 5 from Cat. And that actually helps Mitch. It helps everybody. So that minimizes a little bit the rest of the guys that got to play the 5. But you get, at least I'm thinking, you want to get 20 minutes, out of MitchRob at the 5. If you can get 20 minutes a game out of him, he should be able to Now, if MitchRob gets hurt playing 20 minutes a game, there's other decisions that's got to be made. But I think he should be all right. So we could play him 20 minutes a game, and then you can play Cat 10, and then between Jamison, who's, two-way, but he's going to be able to play 50 games, between Jamison and Porty, especially Porty, you should be able to get the balance of the minutes at the 5 spot. And Jamison is such that's why I'm thinking they still might be a trade, because you get $2 million under the second apron, right? And then let's say you want to convert Jamison to a regular contract. So right now, I'm not sure. Well, first, the two-way don't count against the cap, but then you're going to need another $1 million. Let's call it $1 million, maybe $1.5 million for Jamison. So if you made a trade and you got under the cap for the second apron, then you can convert Jamison, because if MitchRob, if he's not going to be able to give us 20 minutes a night, or if he's going to need extended minutes off and games off and such, as it is right now, I'm pretty confident they're not going to play him in back-to-backs. So if that's the case, you're going to want a Jamison. Porty and Jamison become important, okay? So I guess all I'm saying here is I don't think a trade is off the table yet. I don't think it is. And so I don't know who. To me, Stadier is still the biggest candidate because of the number. But everybody else, if I'm looking at they went through all that to sign Shaman. He ain't going nowhere. Clarkson ain't going nowhere. Deuce ain't going nowhere. Yabusele ain't going nowhere. Those are all rotation pieces. They just went and signed Diawara yesterday. He ain't going nowhere. So I don't know what, only assets that they have that they can trade legitimately is Dadier or Kolek. And as I said, Kolek just won, to me, the third string point guard role. Okay, so if you traded Kolek, now you need a third string point guard. And now, and the problem with that is you got to sign them to money. So if you did that, you're really depending on Jordan. If you didn't do that, you're really depending on Jordan Clarkson to be your third string point guard. Now, he could do it, but I don't think they're comfortable with that. If they are, I'd be surprised. So I don't think Kolek is the trade. it would be Daddy A. So we'll see. There was talk yesterday. I respect immensely Ian Begley, no doubt. But some of the guys he has on his guest spot in the big league, I can't take them seriously. I just can't. So those knuckleheads were talking about that the Knicks would have to attach second round picks, and they were talking about this Bondi's on this trade deuce needle, man. Like they want to recover their picks. No, they're not that important. The picks were never that important. That's why they gave them to get Mikal Bridges. Anyway, and the reason they're doing all this is because of pure speculation about acquiring Giannis. Ain't nobody helping you get what Giannis. Giannis ain't coming to New York. Okay? But anyway, right now, I'm thinking they may still trade a Daddy A to get under that apron. And then in getting under that apron, they can convert Trey Jamison to a regular contract, put him on the roster. And now you got MitchRob, Party, and Jamison. Jamison is not no all-star, but I think we all see he's definitely a serviceable five. Okay? He's definitely serviceable. And that's all you're looking for. You got 2 All-NBA players in your starting five. Okay? And so you got a bench that's dynamic in terms of both sides of the ball, defense and scoring. So if you could get a Jamison, and if you had to start a hoop Party, you got Jamison, okay? And you still got Cat that can play the five. So that's all good. And I know Yabusele could play the five. I don't think he's going to be a guy you can expect to see a lot of minutes at the five. He's more of a 4. He's bulky enough to play the five, but he gets taken advantage of by people that are longer than him. So I would like to keep him at the 4, even the 3 if I needed to, but not the 5. But if they wanted to really just go small, then maybe, he could play like a Draymond Green role, because that's what Draymond Green does when he plays the 5. But Draymond Green is a all-NBA defender. So we'll see. This is interesting, but I don't think, if these numbers from Spot Rack are correct, I don't think a trade is off the table, because this thing is saying they're over the second apron. That's a major thing, because that's why the tax bill is so high, $50 million. So we're going to have to make a adjustment. Somebody, Spot Rack or the Knicks, somebody's going to have to make an adjustment here. So we'll see how this works out. But, and then, like I said, with MitchRob's injury history and trying to preserve him, and Jamison's being a solid person at the 5, a serviceable, you may need to convert him. You may need him available for more than just 50 games. I don't see him needing a tremendous amount of development in the G League. And he's not Najee. He can hold his own in the league. And he can get development practicing with the regular squad. Jamison, I'm saying. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm curious to see how this works out, because either Spot Rack is wrong or the Knicks are wrong. And I got to say Spot Rack is probably wrong, but we'll see. We'll see how this works out. Meantime, tomorrow night is opening night. They're managing Mitch's minutes. I'm hoping he starts with the regular starting 5. I want to see the regular starting 5 tomorrow. If Mitch is not playing tomorrow, I suspect there's a problem. But we'll see. Anyway, y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Shalom.